Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. In our first story, we tell how our attentive OP got back at his neighbor for loud music. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. My neighbor refuses to turn down his music. So I've been living in my current apartment for about 6 months now, and my neighbor blasts his mariachi music whenever he's home. It usually starts at noon and doesn't stop until around 2 or 3 in the morning. It keeps me up, overpowers my TV, and makes it almost impossible to study. I've asked him repeatedly to turn it down to a reasonable level later in the day so people can sleep, but he refuses. Lately, I've been getting my revenge. I found out by mistake that my bathroom is linked to his and we share water pressure. Every day when he goes to take a shower, I take action. A minute or so into his shower, I turn on the hot water in my bathroom sink and the tub. I wait a couple more minutes have passed for him to adjust the temperature to get comfortable. Then I turn off the hot water and flush my toilet. The resulting string of screams and curses is music to my ears. Employees' lunches are their personal property, and the company is not responsible for lost or stolen personal items. Nobody likes a lunch thief, and I had one of the most aggressive at my office. There were rumors for a few months leading up to the inciting incident of someone going around and taking people's lunches. Just about every day, someone different would complain that their lunch was missing. It even happened to me once or twice, but I figured, hey, it's a big office, a few people are probably just careless and grab the wrong lunch and are too embarrassed to bring it back, or someone else packs their lunch and they don't even know what's in it. So it's not obvious they have the wrong one, or whatever. Most people just brought brown bags with their names on it anyway, or identical Rubbermaid Tupperware with a little piece of labeled tape on the side. It was easy enough to mix it up. I'd accidentally grabbed a wrong lunch once or twice, but I'd noticed before I got it open. I thought I was just more careful, or it's just not as busy as some other people in the building. However, other people weren't as forgiving, and a quorum made complaints to HR. They were blown off. Personally, at the time, I thought it was all much ado about nothing, but then it began. My wife enrolled in a French cooking class online, and just about every day I was bringing fancy gourmand leftovers in for lunch. You'd think I was picking up a to-go bag from a Michelin-starred bistro on the way in each morning. She really threw herself into the coursework. There were no problems for about 2 weeks, maybe 3, until one day my lunch went missing. Considering what delicacies I had to look forward to, I was pretty miffed. But I did a once-over around the break room and didn't see anyone eating my lunch, so I figured someone grabbed my bag by accident earlier. Saw how good things looked and realized it was their lucky day and didn't bring it back to the fridge. Next day, I write my name on my lunch in extra bold lettering, jam the bag into the back of the fridge, and feel peace of mind. I get there come break time. Nope, it's gone. I was pretty upset, but I figured it was a stroke of bad luck and left it at that. What else could I do? However, third day, out of an abundance of caution, I kept my lunch at my desk. A pain because I had to eat it fairly early in the day to avoid spoilage, but at least I'd know where it was. I got up to take care of some business down the hall, and when I came back, yep, my lunch was gone. Unfortunately, that didn't help me narrow it down much at all because my desk is centrally located, so everyone's constantly passing by. At that point, there was no possible way of the theft being arbitrary, so I approached HR and filed a complaint. Their response, practically verbatim, was, employees' lunches are their personal property and the company is not responsible for lost or stolen personal items. The following day, my wife packed a cream-based soup that really had to be refrigerated. I was passing by the break room to check on my lunch practically every 5 minutes. Somehow, it still managed to disappear. I was irate at this point and returned to HR and really blew my top. The best they could do was send a memo around about remembering to check the name on your lunch when you remove it from the fridge, but they made very clear that it was a routine memo and in no way related to my complaints, which were not their jurisdiction. So not an admission of responsibility because my lunch was my own personal problem. The only suitable alternative to packing a lunch available in the building are these wretched shrink-wrapped ham and cheese sandwiches from a vending machine. They've been marinating in the heat for God knows how long, and the bread is stale as corkboard, and the meat is rancid. and there's gluey mayo smushed into the center. It's a relic of the old office tenants, I'm pretty sure. I vented daily to my wife, but her only idea was to start bringing a regular sandwich and apple again to dissuade the thief and get him to move on to other lunches. So, determined to prevent this low-life scum from downgrading the quality of my lunch, I hatched an elaborate plan. Then the pandemic hit, and I forgot all about this whole saga. I worked remotely for months and months. Then we returned, and after all that had happened globally, this was the last thing on my mind. But I got to the break room the first day back, frustrated from having to wear a button-up and tie after months of working in pajamas, sore from my desk chair, and exhausted from small talk, only to find my lunch was gone. This was a particularly sore point because my wife and I had divorced between my last lunch and work and the present one. So I didn't appreciate being reminded of any past threads involving her. I pretty much flew into a blind rage at that point, especially seeing that stupid, worthless memo about checking the lunch bag names posted in the break room, feeling so helpless and so hungry and so alone as it was me and my lunch against the world. I stormed out and was determined to return the next day with a plan. So I came in the following day with an empty lunch bag, and I checked closely to be sure no one was watching. I switched the contents of the HR person's lunch bag into my bag, so now their lunch appeared to be my lunch. They'd packed a regular brown bag, so I discarded that, and I left, and I waited. I knew this was a pretty big gamble because it was contingent on the theory that the thief was avoiding me while having lunch, but not wary of anyone else. So I'd eat out in the open if there were no risk of bumping into me. So I made a big show of going around the office announcing that I was headed out for a meeting and I wouldn't be back until at least 3 p.m. I even went to the trouble of moving my car out of the lot to a space 2 streets over, where I then sat in my car and worked remotely for several hours before sneaking into the building up the back stairway. I then sat in the stairwell just outside the break room where you can hear chatter but can't be seen, and after about 20 to 30 minutes of waiting, I heard it. The sweetest sound I'll ever hear in the office. HR. What the heck, Kyle? That's my lunch. Lunch thief. No, it's not your name on the bag. HR. Give me that. I'm assuming grabs the bag, sees my name. HR. Yeah, let's head to my office for a chat. The HR rep later called me in as well and said they were aware of my break room hijinks, but it was obvious that the point still came across loud and clear. They warned me that it was a violation of policy to move another employee's lunch. It took every ounce of self-control for me to keep from retorting, I thought our lunches were our personal property and the company was not responsible for them being lost or stolen. They informed me they'd located the thief and things would be handled accordingly. But better than whatever write-up they might be able to issue Kyle, his reveal is the lunch thief occurred in front of the whole break room. So word quickly spread as to who'd been stealing everyone's lunches earlier last year, and he now is the office pariah. He was in line for a promotion. The promotion's indefinitely off the table. And I also earned brownie points for exposing him, though more than I'm satisfied with being attributed to HR. At the end of the day, though, I didn't do this for credit or even the sweet, sweet revenge. I did it to get my lunches back. And our last story. You want to cancel your reservation? Okay. About a decade ago, when I was fresh out of high school, I got a summer job working at a lakeside boat rental / bait and tackle shop. My boss, Joe, not his real name, inherited the shop from his father and took a massive amount of pride in keeping the family business going. Still, he wasn't one to give in to bullcrap and clearly took it personally when a customer complained about anything to do with the shop he loved so much. Our lake was a pretty popular trophy fishing destination due to how large the local Mackinac trout got. Boss Man wanted to reward people who planned ahead by never charging summer pricing, approximately $150 more per day, on reservations. Naturally, this resulted in our boats getting booked out weeks in advance. The catch was, we did require a completely refundable $100 security deposit. We said in case of damages, but was mostly to guarantee they returned the boat. Of course, every year, many people took issue with this policy. In 3 years, I saw this happen dozens of times. Boss had his malicious compliance down to an exact science. When a customer would refuse to pay the security deposit, Joe would state the deposit is non-negotiable. Almost always, the customer would then declare they're canceling the reservation, they'll never do business here again, generally recite the whole Karen manifesto. Joe would cheerfully agree, feed their paperwork into the shredder, and send them off. You see, dear reader, of the 3 marinas on the lake, we were the only ones that rented out boats. The other 2 only rented out space for boats to dock. They'd never ask about our competitors, so Joe never had any reason to inform them. Without fail, within the hour, the customer would be back, having realized that they couldn't get a boat elsewhere. Usually at this point, business would be picking up, meaning I'd be loudly answering questions about boat rentals for other guests, and the customer's fishing buddies or antsy kids would be pushing them to get the boat already. Grudgingly, they'd ask for their boat. Joe would fake concern and tell them that, unfortunately, all the boats have been reserved for weeks, so we're usually unable to accommodate walk-in rental requests. As luck would have it, we had a cancellation earlier today. Since they don't have a reservation, however, we have to charge the summer holiday pricing. Oh, and just FYI, we require a completely refundable $100 security deposit for all rentals. I hope that's all right with you. Edit. Customers were notified of the deposit requirement when they made the reservation, but they didn't need to pay anything until the day of the rental. We didn't require the deposit in advance to secure the reservation, but we'd only honor the reservation until noon if no payment had been received, which we also told them about. Most folks chose to pay the day of. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.